If you've been scrolling through endless laptop listings, watching video after video trying to decide which machine actually gives you the kind of gaming experience you want, you're probably feeling the fatigue of endless comparison. You've seen the flashy headlines: Ryzen 9, RTX 5060, 144Hz, but you're still wondering if any of those specs will actually matter when you sit down to play, study, or just binge watch after a long day. That hesitation is real, and the wrong choice can leave you with a machine that feels either overkill for the games you actually play or underpowered when you finally decide to push into newer titles. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a solid weekend taking the OMEN 16-inch model out of the box, swapping a few games between it and my older mid-range laptop, and watching how the system behaved in a couple of everyday scenarios: a late-night raid in Elder Scrolls Online, a high-intensity match of Valorant, and a long editing session in Adobe Premiere for a side project video. What I found is that the machine lives somewhere between a premium gaming rig and a workhorse for creative tasks. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer, but it does carve out a niche that many people who juggle gaming with productivity will appreciate. First off, the heart of the thing is the AMD Ryzen 9 8940HX. This is a high-end 8-core, 16-thread processor that, on paper, promises desktop-class performance in a laptop form factor. In practice, that translates to very smooth frame rates in modern titles that are CPU-heavy, like Cyberpunk 2077 at medium settings, where you'll notice the difference between a stutter-prone 1080p experience and a consistently fluid 144Hz flow. The extra cores also mean that when you switch from a game to a background task, say, uploading a video to YouTube while still having the game running, the laptop doesn't choke. That's a practical benefit you won't see in a lower-tier processor that struggles with multitasking. The graphics card, an Nvidia GeForce RTX 5060, isn't the top-of-the-line RTX 40 series, but it's a solid step up from the older RTX 3060 laptops you see in the $1,200 range. In real-world gaming, the RTX 5060 handles 1080p at high settings with ease and even pushes 1440p in less demanding titles at respectable frame rates. When you crank the settings to ultra in a graphically demanding game, you'll see the usual dip, but the drop isn't catastrophic. It stays in the 5070 frames per second window, which is still playable on a 144Hz panel. The 16-inch 2K IPS screen with a native 1920x1200 resolution and 144Hz refresh rate is the kind of display that makes those frame rates feel meaningful. The higher pixel density gives a sharper image than a standard 1080p panel, while the 144Hz refresh smooths out motion, especially in fast shooters. One of the hidden trade-offs people often overlook is the thermal design. HP has opted for a fairly aggressive cooling solution with dual fans and multiple heat pipes, and you'll notice that under sustained load, say, a 30-minute battlefield session, the fans spin up noticeably, producing a low to moderate whine. It's not a screaming turbine, but it's present enough that you'll want to keep the laptop on a hard surface, not a soft pillow. The cooling does its job, keeping the CPU and GPU temps in a safe range, but it does mean you'll hear a constant hum, which can be a distraction if you're trying to focus on a narrative-driven game or a video call. Storage is where the OMEN really shines for power users. A 2TB PCIe SSD gives you ample room for a sizable game library, a full suite of creative apps, and media files without worrying about external drives. The drive's NVMe interface translates to lightning-fast load times. I watched The Witcher 3 load a new area in under 2 seconds, which is a noticeable improvement over my older Nvidia-based laptop. The 32GB of DDR5 RAM is another luxury that you'll feel when you have multiple applications open: photo editors, browsers with dozens of tabs, and a game running simultaneously. The system never hits a hard ceiling, and you won't see the slowdowns that lower-end laptops exhibit when the RAM fills up. Now let's talk about the everyday experience beyond gaming. The Backlit keyboard uses a subtle perky RGB that's more about practicality than show. The keys have decent travel and a satisfying tactile feel, which makes typing long emails or code sessions less tiring. Windows 11 Pro is pre-installed, giving you access to business-grade security features, BitLocker, remote management that are rarely found on consumer gaming laptops. If you're a student or a freelancer who needs a machine that can both run a design suite and handle a nightly raid, that integration is a genuine convenience. Who should buy this? If you're a serious gamer who wants a machine that can comfortably handle both the latest AAA releases at 144 Hz and still be a competent workstation for video editing or 3D rendering, the OMEN 16-inch with Ryzen 9 and RTX 5060 hits a sweet spot. It's also a good fit for people who travel a bit. Its 16-inch footprint is portable enough for a coffee shop setup, but still offers a screen size that feels immersive. The